And we're back here at the Kickspot.
We back.
With our boy Franco.
What up, what up?
And talking it up about the NBA.
Yeah.
And specifically, we're going to talk about Jeremy Lin.
Ooh.
And I know how much you love Jeremy Lin as you were in the Laker. I mean, he was a Laker
Yep.
for a year.
Briefly.
Yes,
It was.
It was a blur.
But pretty interesting stuff that the Knicks decided to, talk about Linsanity, for an entire week, represent Linsanity during, COVID.
Right.
I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, out of all the clips that they could have played or any of the other games that they could have played, they decided to play Linsanity.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that made so much of an impact?
One of the few bright spots for an otherwise, 2 decades of failure was Jeremy Lin and the excitement, selling out arenas. I mean, the Knicks were good, but I think that season you had Stat was injured, Melo was injured, and they just gave him an opportunity. He took it and ran with it. So I think that's why they probably played it. And he went out from the franchise, even though, he only played half a season with them?
Yeah.
He went out on a more cordial term compared to all the other players I just mentioned.
Yeah, he played 35 games.
Jesus.
25 started 25 games.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
But what do you think made it so magical?
Number one, the fact that he was, Asian American, and you just never saw anything like that before from a player. Also his story, he was cut by the Warriors. I think he had a tryout with the Lakers. It didn't happen or whatnot, but he kind of was just looking for an opportunity. He got it under D'Antoni, and it was inspirational, So,
Yeah, I compared it to like one of my favorite movies, Rudy. He was like just an undersized, player, and then ends up, everybody's like rooting for the guy.
Right.
And
But Rudy only played one snap. Rudy played.
you could argue
one.
35 games is one snap.
Yeah.
In the NBA, come on.
well, you could even argue that
He had a
one
tackle.
game would have been his one snap.
Yeah.
And then for some reason they continued to put him on.
Right.
That was the last game of the football season. senior game.
No, but just the underdog story
Right.
is always, what I like, and that's what I think about Linsanity. But when Linsanity happened, I didn't officially understand what that was. ESPN was like, "Oh, Linsanity, this, that," and the first clip that I saw was I want to say it's his third game, and that was against the Raptors.
Oh, the game winner.
The game winner, quote unquote game winner, because there's some time left on the clock, right? But just the confidence that he had after, and I just recall like his like head shake, I scored. I just love that like little story, and then the rest was history with Linsanity. But that's when I started watching Jeremy Lin. I was never a Jeremy Lin fan before. I was like, okay, what's his probability? Like, look at all the other Asian basketball players that ever played. They're either in the D leagues or they never really get an opportunity to start. And so I was like, he's probably never going to come out.
Right.
And then eventually when Linsanity hit after Toronto, I was like, dude, I got to follow this guy. So I've always changed like my ESPN teams, when he went to like the Rockets.
Right.
I'm like, now I got to follow the Rockets. So he's now at the Lakers. Obviously I follow the Lakers. And then, he goes to different teams. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to watch Houston anymore. I'm going to watch whatever team that Jeremy Lin plays on. And so it was just interesting the impact that he was able to make. Like, I still love the underdog story, right?
Right.
So that was the impact that Linsanity had on you.
I mean, he didn't have like necessarily like a impact. Like, I would say that he was just unusual. Like I was like rooting for the guy, but at the same time I was like, man, I think his time's gonna end. And I was so happy that he still had more of an opportunity when he said that he wanted to stay with the Knicks. And the only contract that he got offered was from Houston. And he had actually told his agent that he wanted Houston to offer him less money because he felt like he wanted to continue his, reign with the Knicks because he hasn't really proved himself, which that's what I do respect. He was willing to take a pay cut.
Sure.
because of that. But I just kept thinking, man, his time's gonna be up soon, and finally he wins a NBA championship. Whether or not like people say that he deserves it or not, I believe he does. I mean, he played all throughout the season.
He played a role, yeah.
A huge role in my opinion to be able to get into the playoffs. So I do believe that he deserves it. But I'm happy to see that story.
Right.
Sucks that he's not in the NBA now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does suck because, obviously he has the talent enough to play. I think given a bigger opportunity in today's shooting offensive minded league, he could be a big impact player.
I mean, he's killing it in China.
Yeah. So,
Like,
but
killing it.
at the end of the day, like you have to look at, for whatever reason, he wasn't given those opportunity. It was less and less after the Knicks. So then the Rockets, he got less showtime. With the Lakers, he got even less because, of course, Kobe, Byron Scott was terrible as a coach, didn't know how to manage. And then all his other stops. I think he went to Atlanta, the Nets. He got injured.
But no, the Nets,
He started off pretty good.
He actually killed it on the Nets. He had the highest average points per game.
Yeah.
Playing for the Nets, he averaged 18 points per game.
Yeah. How many games
for that season? So he played, and then it was like Brooklyn and let me see, 26, 17. It was like 37 games.
Yeah.
But 37 games, like he averaged 18 a game. I mean, that's pretty legit.
So obviously the talent is there. He just, it sucks that he got injured that season and he didn't get a fair opportunity with the Nets, But I feel like he could have been, because who did they have after? Dinwiddie and LeVert.
Yeah.
And so
D'Lo.
those guys, you don't think of them as household names, but they're taking their opportunities and they're making the most of it too.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the impact it had on me, I mean, it was huge. I mean, it was one of those things where, I was reading articles from the time from back in 2012 when this was happening. In a week's worth, the biggest selling jersey in NBA was New York Knicks 17 Jeremy Lin jersey. In the span of a week, it rose 3,000%. I mean, just imagine the revenue that generated. One for the Knicks.
yeah.
3,000% when he ended up on the Knicks, or
This is on the Knicks.
so
After he broke out.
After he broke out.
I mean, how many jerseys was he really selling though?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying 3,000%. That was the highest that they've ever seen, like a jump on a jersey sales. Yeah, I mean, he was still selling. I mean, he's got Asian supporters that would buy his jerseys.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
But it's the non-Asians that purchase those jerseys, right? Like because of like the magical run that he was having. So, and especially on pop culture, like that was being talked about, right? Like right now, if I wear a Jeremy Lin retro jersey and I wear it out, like that's like, oh, that's cool.
You get mad props.
Yeah, I get mad props for that, right? Like that's a classic jersey. Like so, that impact on culture is, it was right there.
Yeah.
Even right now, because we were talking about this is 8 years ago, right? So, and for me, it was one of those things where you wanted to see how many he's gonna score. You wanted to see how many points, rebounds, assists, turnovers he was gonna do. It was like you were breaking down one player's like statistics. There was this YouTube that I would always watch because it would show every single point that he would have, and like that was to me like I was looking forward to every game after every game that clip was gonna be on YouTube so I can watch it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shoot, I could take some of that stuff from him. So it gave you some sort of, like inspiration. Right. And the fact that he was Asian and you have some sort of Asian ties because I'm Filipino, look, that even made it more like, man, I'm proud that he's doing that.
You identify with it.
Yeah, you definitely identify with it, and then him winning the championship. I remember you and I were talking, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, how cool was that? Jeremy Lin, we thought he was the first one that won the NBA as an Asian, NBA champion, but that's not the case. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Ooh.
But
more trivia.
Yeah, more trivia. But that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a proud moment, for us. So, and even then I still followed him. I was hoping he would play, but he only played sporadic minutes, during the finals just because, that team was kind of stacked.
Yeah, you have your rotation and whatnot. So, yeah.
But when they won, it's like, yeah, my boy, so.
Yeah. Why do you think Yao Ming didn't get as much? I understand like the underdog story, but let's say it wasn't an underdog story. Do you think that he would still have the same impact?
He did have the same.
I would say he did.
He did have
globally, and especially with Houston and their community. They have a lot of Asian fans, but I think with Yao, because of his size, he went number one. You expected it. There was a lot of media and hoopla around the battle with Shaq and all that. But then you had Jalen was the overnight. So that's why I think it took off. And social media was even bigger when Jalen came out. So it was like, everybody, YouTube clips, and you had Instagram and Facebook, and, so I think
It was just getting there, though.
the
2012.
era between Yao and Jalen, though it was what, less than 10 years, it was still, the social media hyped it up a lot.
So popularity-wise, you would say that Jeremy Lin is more popular than Yao Ming as an Asian player.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yao was a hero in China,
Yeah.
national hero.
And not just that, Yao was a top 50 player.
Oh, he
right?
was.
So Yao is a top 50 player in.
I don't even think he made the all-time list.
I mean, okay. So even if he didn't, he's a top 75, top 100 player of all time.
I don't think he even made that
Really?
list either.
No, he did. He did make the list.
He did? Are you
Yeah.
sure?
Yes, he made the list. Yeah. So, because one, the global impact that he made. Number two, he was that skilled. Like a five.
Yeah.
A
I
five
remember
that could
him.
shoot.
Very soft touch.
hands, soft touch. Like you just never saw a guy move like that. I mean, he had handles for a 7'2", 7'3".
Passing
like
ability.
passing ability. One of the best in-game passer as a big of all time. Kevin McHale was one of the best, if not the best, big man passer, but Yao was up there.
Yeah.
And now it's like you got Jokic, right? But Yao was passing. Man, it was incredible.
Yeah.
To watch his games, and the fact that he was Asian, and then the Asian community. That's why the Rockets is so big, like in China. The Rockets are big in China. That's why who was Daryl Morey said something about
Daryl Moron.
said something about the Chinese, or there was like some sort of
I stand for freedom. I stand for Hong Kong, fight for freedom, or something like that.
right? Where Hong Kong was going through something, and he made a comment, and the entire Chinese, China was like, we're cutting our ties with the NBA, not just Houston, the NBA, and that was billions of dollars generated by.
And they even said a couple of weeks ago that if the NBA comes back,
Not going to.
in
Oh
June,
yeah, they canceled
they're
their
not
games.
going to show any
Yeah,
games.
they canceled all their games.
So,
and I was in the Philippines when that was happening. So and that's the thing, right? And the ambassador for that relationship was Yao Ming.
Right.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that social media really doesn't.
It doesn't play anything.
It doesn't play anything. So Yao Ming is still more popular than Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, but Jalen's story, I think the reason why it caused furor everywhere was because of social media, and we were all a little bit more engaged. We have it on our phones, or whoa, look at what he did. He dropped 38 points on the Lakers, or whatever. So
Yeah. Whenever I watched entertainment, I mean, the only person that I couldn't really relate to was like Dante Basco. I mean, he was
Maikuya Dante.
Yeah, I mean he's like in the movie Hook.
Yeah.
He was like the only Asian that I saw in entertainment, and I didn't see anybody else really after that. I would see like people in the background. I'm like, oh dude, there's an Asian dude. It was like Where's Waldo? You're just trying to find an Asian dude in entertainment. And then, you see Yao Ming, and then, it's sad to see his career go, off of injury. And then you see Jeremy Lin, and you're just rooting for the guy. So as far as the Asian community, like whenever I talk to an Asian person, it's always like there's a lot of hype behind it, Even when he wasn't doing that well on other teams, like even when he was on the Lakers, it was like, dude,
There was that was LA,
hype.
Yeah, so
there's so much hype behind it. But I'm curious to see, Franco, your perspective. Like, was it the same amount of inspiration like us, or was it like for you? It's like it's just kind of like another player.
Yeah.
It was in between. So obviously great for him and inspirational, but at the same time, I think everyone kind of identifies with their own people, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, Argentina is known for kind of riding the bandwagon. So we'll know nothing about a certain sport, and then a player, like a golf player, will go to the Masters or whatever and win. I think there was this guy named Angel, I forget his last name, and the whole country was behind them and everybody was watching. So it kind of takes on that, oh, look, it's one of us. this is what he's doing against, you know.
Who played in the NBA from Argentina?
Oh, Luis Escola, Carlos Delfino, Andres Nacioni, Manu Ginobili.
See, they're great players. All of them. Manu, for
you
sure.
had another guy, Fabricio Oberto on the Spurs. Champion.
Yeah.
You had this guy, Pepe Sanchez, who played for the Warriors. Wolkowski. Roberto Wolkowski.
Wasn't the person that scored the most points in any professional sport history came from Argentina? What's his name? Basketball? He was like the Argentinian god. I forgot his name.
I don't.
Franco?
Me? ABME?
No.
When you pass me the ball?
I do pass you the ball.
Called out.
Wow.
But I will say this. Being that I grew up here and now I'm Lakers through and through, I didn't give the same amount of hype or attention. I didn't identify with Ginobili and everything that he did as much as, you know, Asians embrace Jeremy Lin. And I think that's because I was, you know, my family planted their flag here, and it was Kobe. And then I would see Ginobili come and try to guard Kobe and elbows here and there. And I was like, who the hell does this dude think he is? Regardless of the fact that he's from my country. But when you look at it from your people's perspective, absolutely, you're like, oh my God, that's inspiring. It's one of us, one of 44 million. How many billions of Asians are there that Jeremy Lin just made it? So absolutely inspirational, and you know, the story's amazing. Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
So,
do you think that he'll ever have an opportunity to come back to the NBA?
I think he should.
That's a tough question.
That's a good question because of the fact that the league is so centered on what are you doing for me now. You know, they don't care what you did yesterday. So it kind of sucks from that perspective that GMs and maybe another team wouldn't give him a chance. You know, like why isn't D'Antoni hopping on the phone and calling him and being like, hey, come to Houston. You could come off the bench when Russ and Harden need a break, you know? So, you know, it's like you saw what he did for you. You saw the potential. Why wouldn't you just try to get him with you? A lot of you've heard stories of that. Coaches calling their guys, being like, "Hey, come play for me on this team." You know?
Yeah. Do you think that politics plays a big part in him coming back?
I would say,
like, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Like, so I have friends that are models, and what they tell me is that in the beginning of your career, it's you really selling yourself a lot more to like all these like sponsors and all that too. And I think even like the golfers that are considered quote unquote pro, like they have a pro card, but they're not necessarily on TV.
Right.
They have to go find sponsorship. So they're really building relationships with all these people so that they can get sponsors so they could actually play.
Right.
Do you think that then if Jeremy Lin had, I don't know, like a sales skill or like a really good relationship with somebody, that he's able to get into the NBA, or does that even play a factor?
I think it would. I think it would, you know, hey, if you have that relationship with someone, I think it would be a huge factor, you know? It would help, but, you know, I can't say why wasn't being given, why his opportunities dwindled after, you know, Linsanity. After that tear, I can't say why. I can't speculate on why, but at the same time,
maybe he didn't want the hype, right? I mean, that could play a part also.
That could be
right?
a part.
Like
He didn't want the hype.
Yeah, he didn't want the hype for himself. You know, like he was thankful. I mean, you know,
he just wanted to play.
He just wanted to play. I mean, he played for the.
That was his
game,
dream. Yeah.
You know, and he did, and you know, and it got stretched out. You know, due to Linsanity. But I think, you know, and I think the opportunity that presented, you know, itself to him after Linsanity was, I think, for him good enough, and he was thankful for it. Like he became such a global presence, you know, when it comes to representing, you know, the Taiwanese, you know, culture, you know, the Taiwanese Asian culture, you know, like he took that to heart. He took everything, and then, you know, it's not about having the opportunity to play in the NBA. It's just having the opportunity to play, and he got that in China.
But I mean, like, just to be able to come back though, you know,
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean, like he did get very emotional. Like I think he was like at church or something, but he was emotional in China talking about how he is sad that his NBA career's
over. Yeah,
ending.
Yeah.
He thinks that.
Yeah, there was like a video that
it was him like at church or something,
wow.
You know, giving like a testimony, and he was very, very emotional. And then I think like a couple months after that, you know, he gets signed to like the Chinese basketball
Right.
league out there.
Beijing Ducks.
Yeah, and so and then he says that he was very, very blessed because in his career he's always wanted to play for like his home country,
Right.
like once in his life.
Right.
Regardless if that's true or not, I don't know if that's 100% true. If that's kind of like his way to say, at least I'm playing, professionally still.
Right.
Because if he had to choose between the NBA or playing in China, I believe that he would have chose still
The
playing
NBA?
in the NBA.
Absolutely, yeah.
But his probability of coming back to the NBA, I find it being very, very slim,
Mm-hmm.
which is very unfortunate. If he was a Yao Ming, that tall and dominant, I could see him.
And you
coming
center your
back.
game around him.
Yeah, but he's what, 6'3".
Yeah.
He's just not as tall as we want him to be, and
Right.
I think he's skillful in like his shooting ability and all that too. But it's like unfortunate that would play a factor.
Yeah, I feel that, like I said, for whatever reason, his opportunities have been dwindling since that happened, and
Doing in the NBA.
in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily dwindling.
I don't think it's fair. I think it sucks, but at the same time,
But it did open doors, though. It opened doors for a lot of, like this up and coming like Asian ballers, right?
Right.
Like Kai Soto, right? Me and Jinu were talking about it. This kid from the Philippines, 18, that just signed with the G League. I mean, that's another thing, right? Like, I'm like, oh, looks like another Filipino coming up.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a guy named Johnny Abarrientos.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first person that got some hype to get signed in the NBA. He played for the PBA. He was he was short, like less than 6 foot, right? 5'9", 5'10". And, Johnny Abarrientos, like he was like that guy that was going to make it to the NBA. But we knew the entire country was like behind him. Mm-hmm. He was too small. He was not going to be able to compete the way, he needs to compete in the league.
right.
Some grown men in the league, But that was the first kind of taste of the Philippines having someone, and there's probably a few now, but definitely Kai Soto, right? We were talking about that. Like, got signed with the G League, 18 years old, pretty skillful, pretty tall. He just needs to gain some muscles, and we'll see what he does, right? But, I think, and the NBA has been very, very vocal about, expanding its league
Yep.
in Asia.
Yep.
And, even Adam Silver has made a comment saying, how come we don't have a lot of Asian players right now?
Right.
Like he wants to give that opportunity to, the Asian athletes to be able to live out their NBA dream and play.
Yeah, and have that
and
opportunity.
have the opportunity. So
Yeah.
that's why, that's why the NBA is like the greatest league ever.
Yeah. Very inclusive.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, I feel like it won't get to that level for a long time, based off the country's economy. I mean, I think America has it best. You go to college, you get a full ride because you are an athlete,
Right.
and whether or not you're paying your players or not. I mean, there's got to be something that's going on, and I think in the future that the NCAA should start paying their players, just because you're not necessarily, if you don't have a career, you're not necessarily majoring in the majors that you want to.
Right.
So how do you make up for the amount of practice that they're actually practicing and all that too?
Yeah.
And the rules and regulations that the NCAA has, they're really in control over their players. But
Yeah.
you look at, the Philippines, the economy is not as strong as the U.S. or like a lot of these Asian countries. The fact that, he even came out and he's in the G League,
Yeah.
that's super impressive.
That's huge.
Right? I mean, you can tell that he's just not eating as much and all that too, I mean, they just don't have as much resources.
Right. Right.
No, he has the resource over there.
Well, I mean, he's like,
As far as
Manny Pacquiao. I mean,
as far as, probably like, training and stuff, it's probably not as, we don't get as much of what we get here as far as like the nutrition, coaching, and, it's not the same.
Right.
But no, that kid is eating over there.
Yeah,
Best
it's
believe
different. You come up differently, but
that. Yeah.
obviously you're not gonna be.
A lot of chicken adobo over
Yeah.
there. A lot of lumpia, from Tita, so.
Tita.
Yeah.
dope.
Man, I mean, again, I think what it did, what the Linsanity did, it opened up more doors. It definitely opened up conversations
Yeah.
to have, and to look at, that side of the world and say, no, there's talent there.
Yeah.
We should really look into the talents that are over there. I mean, and that's the thing, right? China is the only country that's made an impact in the Olympics when it comes to basketball.
Sure.
But if you go to the Asian games, like the Asian Olympics, right? Philippines is up there.
Right.
Philippines is up there when it comes to basketball.
Andre Blatch.
Andre Blatch playing for the Philippines. Jordan Clarkson playing for the Philippines. Shout out to those guys that are Filipino.
Yeah. Adopted. I think another big thing was also with Jeremy Lin was the fact that he got NBA players to talk about him.
Yeah, dude.
You had Darren Williams took it personal because Jalen torched him the first game. That's when it started.
Sorry.
The Heatles, they shut him down. He had 8 points. So they treated him like Tony Kukoc was treated by
It was like
Jordan
1 for 11.
Yeah.
1 for 11. Dude.
So I think but at the
That was
same
the end of
time,
it.
if they're focusing that much on you and they're building the game,
did something right.
You did something right, and you earned a respect. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome too. That's a huge factor, and it's something that's I don't think talked about as much.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, he scored like it just says here. Like I'm looking at some things. Like
Kobe couldn't stop him. He scored 38 on Kobe.
He scored 41 points in an All-Star game.
Yeah.
In China.
Really,
Like,
41?
Yeah, last year.
Damn.
His first All-Star game drops 41 points, and then he was the second. He had the second most votes for the All-Star game, right behind my boy John Lian. You know what I'm saying?
So you think if they had the Olympics, Jeremy Lin would play?
I mean,
do they have because I think he's Taiwanese.
he's Taiwanese. He's not
Taiwanese,
But
Chinese.
he's
yeah.
playing in the Chinese league. But
You can play in any league.
well, yeah. I mean, well, that's a sensitive subject too. Like,
I don't know if
because
there's-
China claims Taiwan,
Right.
so I don't
Who
know.
would he
if there's-
play for?
But Taiwan
Yeah.
is their own country in the Olympics.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know, because China really is in control over
Yeah.
Taiwan. So I don't know. I've never seen a Taiwanese team.
It'd be like the UK when they had the Olympics
We'll
in
see. We'll
in
see if
London,
he plays in the Olympics.
and the UK had players from obviously England, Wales, which is a different country. I think that was it. But you had 2 different countries playing under one team, which was the Great Britain team. So
Do you
I'm
think
wondering
he,
if that would be like that.
Yeah. Do you think he plays in the Olympics? Do you think they'll ask him?
Probably not. How old is he now? 29.
yeah, probably not. It's the age. I mean, maybe.
You think so?
Plus, they're putting off the Olympics till next
Maybe.
year.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they'll ask him.
Maybe
I
they
don't know.
will.
I think they will.
Dude,
I mean,
this-
if he's doing well, I
Yeah.
don't see why they wouldn't.
It'll
This
be-
is-
I'll tell you what. It'll be another good storyline for him.
Yeah, if he can just rub
another
it in the
inspirational-
NBA's face,
Yeah.
dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, this is interesting. His endorsement. He had 4 big endorsements. Volvo was one of them.
Ooh, drive safe.
That's actually pretty good. Nike, I didn't know that, from 2010 to 2014.
In the U.S.
Yes.
Or
I mean, he was in the
Nike-
NBA.
or Nike China.
No, that's NBA, Nike US.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Steiner Sports, don't know what that is, probably a Chinese company. Adidas. I remember that because Adidas made a shoe for him. 2014
They did?
present. Yeah. They had a Jeremy Lin signature shoe for him.
Whoa, it's
pretty cool.
I'm gonna have a cup.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
So,
StockX.
Yeah.
StockX, yeah, if yeah, maybe not, but yeah. So I mean, he had crazy endorsements, I mean, Linsanity bought a lot of stuff. It said Lin trademarked the word Linsanity in 2012 to preempt strangers from profiting from his likeness. Oh, smart,
He went Kylie on that.
smart. Yeah, that's cool.
Harvard grad. That's what you get.
There you go, bro.
I mean, he took his education
yeah,
seriously.
hell yeah.
Ben & Jerry's created a frozen yogurt in his honor of Lin, named Taste the Linsanity.
Oh,
It contained lychee honey swirls and fortune cookie pieces. You would freaking put fortune cookie pieces in that thing, Ben and
Might
Jerry.
as well put some
Wow.
mandarins.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, here we go.
I hate when I like buy an Asian salad,
Yeah.
and then it's just lettuce with mandarin. I've never understood that. I'm
But
like,
let me give
why
you
is
guys
this
an
an Asian
update.
salad? But
The
anyways.
Ben and Jerry's later replaced the fortune cookies with waffle cookies and apologized to anyone offended by their Linsanity flavor.
Bro,
I don't know why that's
Amazing.
I don't know
who
if
is the idiots that, greenlight these kind of things? It was like the Adidas.
Funny.
After the Boston Marathon. Do you guys remember? the Boston Marathon
Yeah, with the bombing. Yeah.
And Adidas came out a year or two later, and they sent an email. I got an email, and they were like, "Congratulations, you survived the Boston Marathon." I was like, "What in the hell?" Like somebody with probably a college degree in the marketing department green lighted this, and and then they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry." It's like, dude, how about not sending it? Not putting it out there at first, How about not doing that at all? So
Yeah, but
that's
I mean,
extremely offensive.
But even like the fortune cookie is from America.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
So it's just really
But
interesting.
it's
the
that
stereotype.
stigma, the
Yeah.
stereotype.
Well, yeah,
and
that's
the
what I
stigma.
mean. That's what I brought up, the tangerine in the salad.
yeah.
That's a stereotype that's an Asian salad,
Right.
and then the fortune cookie is Asian technically, like even though it's not. You don't have that stuff out in China, so it's very, very crazy. Well, we're just gonna end the show here. We had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
NBA, catching up with Franco.
Yep.
And we're probably gonna have you on a few of these other
Cool.
episodes here, especially
Thank
when
you.
the season starts.
Yep.
That'll be great to talk more.
And when
Because
it finishes with a champion.
We know who the champion is gonna be, though.
Stop it.
Wow.
Stop it.
Wow.
We all know.
That's time for another
Stop it.
another conversation because I got something to say about that too. But Franco, if you want to give everybody a way to contact your social media or anything like that, if you want.
Yeah. I'm Franco Matias 1712 on Instagram. So hit me up. I'm actually journalism major, so this just goes right in line with what I want to do in the future. So thanks for having me and giving me an
Very
opportunity.
nice.
And
That is.
looking forward to being back. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you on.
We're gonna edit this without the Laker jersey.
Oh man, hate that.
Hey, you got a Lakers.
Take the
fan
Clippers to
over
Seattle.
here. Thank you.
No.
Take the
Thank
Clippers
you.
to
And on
Seattle.
that note, we are out.
Thank you for listening to Kickspot.